Hello everyone. Good evening and good now. Good wherever you are, time and places. Thank you very much for being here and on Zoom. We're going to do the traditional prayers to renew our refuge, our true confidence in the Dharma, and our attempt to practice, employ, and register the importance of teachings. Teaching us not only when we're listening to teaching, but teaching us when we're really facing the not so pleasant experiences. When you really have the teaching, that's when the teachings are really supposed to be happening. What is called the path of truth of cessation. You stop the problem escalating, but you could see even problems don't really have their life on its own if you are on the path. So therefore the teaching could be really happening, not just in listening to teaching, but also when you're really heeding to it in everyday life. Anyway, so we will formalize by repeating the refuge and renewing the bodhicitta and commitment to practice the four immeasurables. I'll screen share for those who may not have the text in front of you. Good, thank you. So everybody join your hands at the heart. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere Yedhe Lajama Bhavaja Ajendala Ajare Buddha and Buddha Nama Sangha Adere Vyede Eladema Bhavaja Ajendala Ajare Buddha and Buddha Dhamma Sangha Adere Vyede Eladema Bhavaja Ajendala Ajare Buddha happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never from the happiness that suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never from the happiness that suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from judgment and aversion to those near and far, may hobbies happiness and the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never be from the happiness that no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from her judgment and aversion to those near and far, according to the intelligence and predisposition of it, where the yajanda dharma agrelo and come vigos. We have had the 5 sessions of the lesson so far, in which we talked mainly the first, the importance, qualities, and disciplines and practices that we as a would-be suitable candidate to practice the perfection of wisdom would require us to do. So it focused largely on the importance of faith and devotion, diligence, and discernment to how best one can become a good vessel to hold, understand these teachings. So now we come to the main body of teaching called the instruction, the actual instructions of the perfection of wisdom. These are 10 there are 10 parts to this, starting from the generation of the enlightenment thought all the way to the actual qualities of the Buddhahood. So this shows the first and the last, the first topic and the last topic. First is the cause, and the result is the 10th, which is the omniscience. To become, to reach the state of enlightenment, one needs to cultivate the cause of enlightenment, that is the bodhicitta itself. So bodhicitta is the 10 of the, what they call 10 knowledges. 10 knowledges, how these 10 knowledges will culminate to the omniscient, Of course, knowledge, omniscient itself, knowing all phenomena, relative and ultimate as they are. But here talking about generating, making up a mind to embrace bodhicitta. That's the first one, generation of enlightenment thought. That's the first one. So we'll talk about that in detail. Generation of thought of enlightenment, called bodhicitta, is the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of others, knowing that enlightenment is where one's own both true gross obscuration of afflictive obscuration and cognitive obscuration completely eliminated. And so, knowing that oneself and all beings are stuck in the mud of samsara due to these two hindrances, gross afflictive obscuration as well as cognitive obscuration. So bodhicitta is the foundation stone of Mahayana. So you need to lay the foundation to develop bodhicitta, and it is the root of the perfect enlightenment. Because without the root of bodhicitta, you could not gain enlightenment. So if you enlightenment we call samyak sambuddha, perfect enlightenment is where you do not have any karmic or afflictive or cognitive obscuration on your own, but all what you do has this amazing benefit, like the qualities the Buddha has. So to achieve that, you must have bodhicitta. This is very strong Mahayana proposition. It is the parent of all orphaned sentient beings. So bodhicitta is that which gives you the power to parent sentient beings who are otherwise orphaned, however well fed, however well clothed, however much possessions they have, positions they have, they're still orphaned with how the conceiving the importance of selflessness and dropping the demeritorious selfishness. Sentient beings are indeed orphaned. If you see people who are orphaned, we think it's terrible. They're neglected by the parents. But this is talking about the next level of orphan. We might have parents that we can never dare to part from them. We're close to them. We're always doing everything for each other, so on. But still, even with their gentleness and generosity with us, we still feel very unclothed. We still feel very thirsty and lonely and meaningless. That's because we lack bodhicitta. That's what it means. And that all sentient beings are orphans, where they don't have the bodhicitta. It is the boat to ferry beings in the ocean of samsara. Yeah. Otherwise, sentient beings wishing to travel, but they couldn't get a single mileage. But they're always moving, always going, but never getting anywhere because they're stranded. They don't have the boat. They completely have no boat to ferry them through the torrent of ocean of samsara because they haven't conceived or realized the importance of bodhicitta. They may adopt strict disciplines. They may have lots of devotion to some personage or some religious entities, or they adopt all kinds of rules. But until they realize the whole purpose is to conceive bodhicitta and to practice that, they still are stranded passengers. They're orphans. You can see that when people don't have bodhicitta, probably more than when we lack bodhicitta, we feel so low, we feel so empty, we're so hollow, we're so directionless. We have completely lost everything because when we forget the bodhicitta. So that's what it's more, instead of looking at sentient beings as orphans or stranded sentient beings, we are often ourselves, until we have a good grip of the comprehension of bodhicitta, and always remember that even you meditate, even you do observe rules, vows, you observe vegetarianism, you fast, you do all those things, you observe silence, you give up many things, but still if you haven't got bodhicitta, you still are an orphan of orphans. That's what really they're saying. It is lamp to dispel the ignorance. Yeah, bodhicitta is the lamp that actually dispels ignorance. These are all actually succinctly put in Shantideva, first chapter, in 28 verses or something. Here, Rongton brings them, brings them in a nutshell. These very pithy words. If you lack bodhicitta, you are an orphan. If you lack bodhicitta, you feel lost. If you feel lost, if you feel cheated, if you feel deceived, it's because you lack bodhicitta. It looks like somebody else is not looking after you, or somebody else is not taking care of us, or whatever. But actually, we are ourselves making ourselves an orphan when we do not remember bodhicitta, or we have given up bodhicitta, or we don't know about bodhicitta. It's like you haven't got the light, it's completely lost in the darkness, because if you have the bodhicitta, then it will dispel all your confusions. Just remember bodhicitta, that's what it's saying, as a practice. That's the first Dhammaka, Upadesha. The instruction is to remember bodhicitta as a boat to take you across the river, or a parent that will save you from being an orphan, as a lamp that will make you to stay in the dark. Yeah, it is the vanquisher of the battle with the demons. So the demon here refers to this demon of the four maras, Skanda Mara, Skanda means aggregate Mara. We are mainly the demon of body. Demon of always worrying about body from top to bottom, or maybe skin to marrow. You can skin to marrow, sometimes skin to marrow, some to top to bottom. Always worrying about body, but always about my body. Constantly we are just, it will, because it will, if you have the bodhicitta, you will not become a slave to the body. So that's how you vanquish the demon. If you have bodhicitta, you will not become slave to your affliction. That's the klesha mara, second demon. Second demon is the afflictions. First is the physical, afflictive, and third is the fear of death. If you have fear of death, you haven't got bodhicitta. If you have bodhicitta, even you die, you feel good. As long as I don't forget bodhicitta to pack up in my bag, then it doesn't matter what body you leave behind. You will going to get another body with the bodhicitta. So it's very good, very good. So you can get a brand new body at no cost, nothing. So what's the fuss about fearing death? So what are you going to sort of afraid you might forget to do? To forget to take bodhicitta? Yeah, that's right. So whole Mahayana teaching is not to forget bodhicitta. All these days, pseudo-Buddhists practicing mindfulness never talk about altruism. Always talk about success, materialism, progress, productivity. That's not Buddhism. These are materialism, spiritual materialism, trying to use mindfulness to promote leadership and success and income and boosting your popularity and make people listen to you. All those things are completely wrong doctrine. You might have more of those things, but you're still afraid of death. You're still afraid of death. It means you the demon. You're still afraid. You have fear of all sorts of things, isn't it? It's because you fear of death, not because of anything. Because you fear to die. If you have bodhicitta, you don't fear of dying. This is amazing confidence, Of course, you might have lost a couple of years in having no bodhicitta or something like that. But since you did conceive the bodhicitta, really, this is the safekeeping. You really mustn't forget that. Even these days, Buddhists people are going to all these relics. This is a relic. Everybody lining up, waiting to look at the white relic. But they forget bodhicitta. They want us tangible things to touch, tangible things to look, or tie, or emulate. They forget the bodhicitta. Don't forget bodhicitta. If you have bodhicitta, you will not fear of dying. You will conquer the demon of fear of death. Mritu Mara. And fourth Mara is Mara of Devaputra. Devaputra is the son of the god, the ego, the subtle me, always self-importance, the self-importance, Mara of self-importance. You will be able to conquer it. If you have an argument with somebody, it's because of your self-importance. Sure, they have their share of self-importance, that which impinges on us, but if you don't have self-importance, no matter how much self-important wrong ways they do, it does not impinge on you. Why? You have conquered the battle of the ego. So these are the four demons, yeah? It is the vanquisher of the battle with the four demons, four maras. If it's the bodhicitta, yeah? This refer to the bodhicitta, yeah? And therefore, now he has listed those few points. Therefore, in whatever wholesome deeds we want to engage in, such as like listening to the Dharma, taking notes and remembering them, reading texts and meditating, or practicing loving kindness and practicing forgiveness, whatever you do, or maybe some outwardly religious things. Maybe you are doing some physically very devotional things, you're polishing statues, you're sweeping the road, or whatever you're doing, or doing a lot of things for the community or your organization, your parents, or somebody who needs help. Whatever wholesome deeds you're doing, it is very important that everything that you do without any discrimination, they incorporate with enlightenment thought. They're just enlightenment thought is always the accompaniment of everything you do. It's just like the water. Whatever you cook, you always need a bit of water, don't you? You can't cook asparagus. You can't cook mashed potato. You can't cook rice. You can't do anything without water, isn't it? Like that. Without bodhicitta, no matter whatever you do a lot of work, heavy lifting for others. You do hours of things for someone else. If you have bodhicitta, it will lift your spirit. It will have amazing benefit to others. It's not the volume of you do. If you have bodhicitta, even you do so much, you never have this angst or weariness. Oh, I did this. It's about time I take a day off. It's about time that I don't have to do this. About time somebody else do it. All these things is because of lack of the orphan who hasn't got a parent. Feel very poor, isn't it? Because you lack bodhicitta. It doesn't mean that your fitness of the body is not quite good. You can't do. It doesn't mean you shouldn't. You have to do everything physically same as before, but at the same time also trim down the bodhicitta. Bodhicitta still could be kept. Even you put your feet up, have them massaged by other people. But still, you can have bodhicitta. You can pay them a bit more than $80 an hour. Very good. Give them a thank you. Not just pay them the money, but thank them sincerely. And you wouldn't believe. It's much better than money when you can thank them from sincerely. So it doesn't mean that you have to do always back-breaking job as if you don't have a back left. It's not like that. Even though you can do some things, but still, even you're sitting idle, you can't do anything for others, but still just wish them good luck, send blessings, and remember the bodhicitta, wish them well, see good in them. You start to do that, so therefore it's very important that it's incorporated with the bodhicitta. Amazing. This is the meditation of all meditation, really. It says this is the panacea. This is when you practice this. It says this is Mengi Chogye Shandideva said this is excellent of all medicines. Duzi Chogye, this is excellent of all the elixirs. This is the coolest tree under which shade you can rest all the varied sentient being travelers. When you have bodhicitta, no matter who's exhausted, tired, you will be able to give them something to ease their tension or suffering because you have bodhicitta. Even if somebody is really aggressive, somebody's really, but when you remember bodhicitta, you know exactly how to expose your kindness and then not become intimidated by the karmic, by the orphanness, by the orphanness. If they're orphans, you should feel, I was looking for an orphan, I can only handle one orphan. That's the problem. People can handle helping only one orphan, but they can't help more than 2 orphans. They say, I've been helping 5 orphans whole day, and don't need another one at home. They go. All these sentient beings are indeed orphan when they have no bodhicitta. You can see they're struggling. They have so many things, but they don't have that thing. See, this is the whole thing. Even you pray, you meditate, even you observe discipline, you must remember what for what. The purpose is this, for the sake of developing bodhicitta. If this is lacking, if bodhicitta is lacking, then even if there are manifold qualities, even though you have lots of skills, qualities, amazing things, it is beyond lesser vehicle. Yeah, you are still in the lesser vehicle. You may be really strict with discipline. You really live by the books. You really do all sorts of things. You never harm anybody, and you really want to make sure that you look good. That's the dangers. That you sounded immaculate and you have no faults at all. You really have done all the right things. That's the most dangerous bit, actually. That is the very dangerous bit. Then there's the so it is still just to keep your standing look good. It is not beyond lesser vehicle. It's just another form of those look at me, how good I am kind of practice. Mahayana is to transcend those self-importance. So that's an amazing list of what the bodhicitta is. And then he says, how should this be cultivated? Huh? How should you cultivate it? How do you import this? You know, they're promoting some materials, but how are you going to import that? Who's the agent? You know, where is the things? How are you going to get it? You know, how this should be cultivated? You know, tomar. You know. Firstly, one has to manifestly realize compassion, since compassion is the root of bodhicitta. Yeah. So compassion means suffering. Remember we talked about the sufferings of sentient beings in the 6 realms. So now you got to, when somebody is acting like they are in samsara, you know, they don't have to act, they are in samsara. So it's very obvious they are in samsara. You can see the half body is in a pit of the mud, and it's almost, the mud is getting deeper and almost blocking their nostrils and so on, so on. So you can see they are all. How is compassion the root of all of this? Yeah. So you have to understand why compassion is the root of bodhicitta. We were praying just before, may all beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. You know, without compassion, you don't know what constitutes bodhicitta. Bodhicitta isn't some inherently existing thing. It needs to cultivate the empathy of those who have suffering, and those who have many untold suffering, and then those they are telling, you know. That those who don't tell anything, do you think they have no suffering? Is that so, you know? That wish that was good, you know? You know? Is it because those who tell story, they are the only story, those are the only suffering? You know? Is that the only story suffering they have? No, a lot more than that. And they don't even know they're creating that themselves, you know? They're making the sufferings at home by themselves. They don't want it, but they're just totally unaware what they're doing is their own misery. So if you understand that, then you have this strong sentiment of empathy. Empathy is that's almost like you feel someone suffering as was yours. You get into their shoes. On the basis of the support of refuge, we were talking, if you have refuge, then the power of the seed is awakened, so then you realize the Buddha Dharma is about, even the qualities of Buddha is listed as 3, you know. Listed as 3 as one of, a fully compassionate one, one who knows everything, and one who has power to help sentient beings. Compassion is the highest qualities of Buddha, you know. So when the power of the seed is awakened, meaning that your empathy is cultivating, when you see somebody, some sentient beings, orphan-like sentient beings, you feel they're suffering more than remembering yours. But most sentient beings don't have the bodhicitta, always think of my sufferings. They think of poor me. But on the basis of one who has refuge, to go refuge in the Dharma, then their refuge has empowered them to see the sufferings of others, and then this has now awakened their mind. And when one witnesses others suffer, when you see the sufferings of others more than those of yours, instead of amplifying your sufferings, you begin to see the sufferings of others, even though they're aggressive, even though they're unfair or whatever. Still, you see their suffering more than the harm you think they are doing to others or you. You're least worried about what they will do to you, but you're more concerned about the suffering that they have been suffering so long to do this. And so one will then generate unbearable pain as if you are suffering their sufferings. So that is the empathy, isn't it? You're able to feel the unbearable pain of others as if you have no choice, but you feel it, But if you don't empathize it, it's something you have to do. This kind of generation of a heart to feel the sufferings of others as if it was yours. Now, how can this be done? Have you actually felt somebody else does that to somebody? And that's usually, yes, you have seen your mother do that to their children. It doesn't have to be human mother. You can see any mother sentient being, when they look at their young, you can see, if they see the suffering of their loved ones, particularly young ones, they quickly drop their their own concern and go out, do anything they have unbearable. They will rather leap out of their comfort zone, go to rescue the sentient being from the suffering. So that's an example of what we call engendering compassion, feeling the sufferings of others as unbearable to watch. You cannot watch it and think it's theirs. You have to go and do something. Even you couldn't do much really practically, but you are full of this compassion and empathy for them. From this yearning, from this feeling, this mental constitution arises a strong, compassionate wish to free others from the suffering and their causes. So there is this amazing urge, it's just like the firefighters. The firefighters, as soon as they hear this fire's on, they just have to get their gears on, and they must get there. They have to put that fire out at all costs. Try to get there in 8 minutes, they call it. They say, if good firefighters will arrive your 8 minutes time since you give them a call. In Australia they do actually. I've seen them. I've seen them arrive very quickly. Amazing. Before you got downstairs, they're already at the door. I think firefighters are very good examples of bodhisattvas, really. Really, I mean, who wanted to go and fight the fire when everybody's running away from it? Like all these COVID-19 frontline workers, all the nurses and healthcare professionals. These are bodhisattvas. These are. Yeah. I mean, if you have the right attitude, we're talking right attitude. It doesn't mean you have to wear a hat and you're given by some Tibetan lamas. You can talk a bodhisattva, put that on. Doesn't mean that. Bodhicitta means this amazing selfless attitude that rises from you unconditionally, and you find yourself ability to leap out of your comfort and go and do that. From this kind of yearning to relieve others' suffering, as we yawn, from this, after having generated the wish to free them from that suffering, one should find methods to relieve other suffering. Then, amazingly, by hook or crook, you are now skillful. You will do anything to relieve their suffering. Even though much bigger part of suffering is long way to eliminate, but at least you try to bring some degree of comfort to relieve the suffering, so the symptoms, causes, or whatever they just put out. From this, one will come to realize that turning the wheel of Dharma is the only method to liberate others from suffering. You may do all sorts of things, but that doesn't really make them to not fall into the fire again. They will still be burning in the pit of poor me, angry, and so on again. How can we make sure they don't get themselves incinerated like that one too many times? Only if they have the Dharma. Only if they understand Dharma. That's the whole thing. This is the very important here. Yeah. So only way that we can really empower somebody not to suffer themselves is by them understanding the Dharma and having the refuge. Only method to liberate others from suffering is giving them the vision to meet and find the Dharma. Then, from this, one understand that in order for them to hear the Dharma, turning the wheel of Dharma, one should attain perfect enlightenment for the benefit of others. Therefore, you wanted to make sure the Dharma is taught, Dharma is propagated. The activities of teaching, the practice, study is propagated, and everybody does different kind of roles in order to propagate, in order to facilitate the Dharma. I mean, Zoom is doing very hard. Zoom is doing very well these days. Zoom is working very hard for the benefit of all sentient beings. I mean, the word Zoom says it all. You got to zoom in all the sentient beings. Don't make sure that nobody is forgotten. Just give them the ID, meeting ID, and give them password, and that's all. They bring the Dharma into their home. I mean, that's what it is. That's what we discovered through the pandemic. We should do that, because then it will save a lot of effort for them, having to go, having to meet, all sorts of inconvenience. So bring the Dharma, so then propagate the Dharma, so that they get to hear the Dharma. Then one gives rise to the thought of attaining enlightenment for the benefit of others. So if you want the others to meet with the Dharma, then you can give them a car, you can give their house. Lots of people give that to their loved ones, but still they're orphans. They're still orphans. They have got those, but they're still as poor and miserable as ever. It didn't do anything. It just spoiled them all. So until you empower them through the Dharma. Dharma is the most important empowerment than any empowerment ceremony you need to attend. I tell you that. If you really have the good comprehension of Dharma, and you read it, you meditate, and you employ in your everyday thoughts, minding your thoughts, minding your feelings, minding your emotions, and not to mention minding your habits and so on, you realize, that is a hell lot of empowerment. That's better than job promotion. People get promoted in job, but they get more stressed. But they get Dharma. They get less pay, but more happy. Very good. Very good. Less pay, more happiness. I mean, that sounds really, it looks like more pay, less materialism. Dharma is the best income, Dharma is the best income, You cannot find it. You cannot find it. You just have the right kind of mental constitution that actually have the comprehension to identify the best find as the best find. Some people are not. They're not able to do that. Their times are completely taken up, chewed up by the worldly demands, and they always don't have enough time to practice. They're too poor in time to do Dharma. Indeed. They're too rich doing busy things. So busy they have no time to meet the Dharma. So, therefore, compassion is taught as the essence of the enlightenment thought of the great vehicle. And that's why you may wonder why His Holiness Dalai Lama says, my religion is kindness, and so that's the essence of the teachings, really. In the essence, you got to, when you look at that, then you don't divide people by being Christians or Buddhists or monks or nuns or laymen or layperson or beginners or old student. You see all deserve to be treated with kindness and compassion, and so the ornament of discourse, Mahayana Sutra Alankara says, it is asserted that its essence is compassion. Essence of bodhicitta is compassion. So when you say, what's compassion? What's bodhicitta? Is it saying the prayer many times, 100,000 times? Even you say 1,000,000 times, so what if you haven't got compassion? So the prayer is just a formality. But actual thing is you have to practice compassion, not just to some cute sentient beings who are really lovely and do everything like you like. That's not compassion. That's attachment, Compassion is someone who's really difficult to you. He's really aggressive and is really, really doing all sorts of things that are harmful to you. When you can develop compassion, then you have really, if you can develop compassion to them, then you have now got the Dharma. You really, it's amazingly, that's such a kind of gift is then you, instead of ill will, you have goodwill. This is the whole thing. That others' wrongdoing is no cause of your misery. Others' wrongdoing is cause of your compassion to allay the misery that you otherwise generate by your childish reaction. Now you're saved from doing any of the childish reaction. Why? Because suffering doesn't need to be escalated. It just needs to be de-escalated. The de-escalator of suffering is compassion. Did you de-escalate that compassion, or did you escalate the compassion? People thought you were brave because you're escalating the suffering. But wait a minute, after a few weeks you realize, what did I do that for, People thought you were brave, but you're all now miserable, now more miserable than you ever thought. But one who de-escalated, nobody says, oh, you're a brave one. They think you're weak or something. They think you're weak. You don't know how to look after yourself. You can't stand up for yourself. In this kind of competitive materialistic society, they give you the wrong guidance. That you've got to stand up for yourself. But how many lives we have wasted doing that? If we can't remember enough of this life, all the mischiefs, all the shortcomings, all the downfall was when we thought we were standing up, oh God. But that taught why the Buddhists are bowing down all the time. Instead of teaching them to stand up, I was bowing down. Doesn't that teach us something? Definitely does, We need to surrender self-importance. All the problems are met because of trying to stand up for yourself. When we try to stand up, that's when we trample on others. And we have forgotten one too many sentient beings. We thought we were being right. But that's not compassion. Buddha never said being right is essence of bodhicitta. It didn't say anything so far. In no way it says being right is the essence of bodhicitta. It doesn't say that. If there is, I'll be the first one to quote. Rongton didn't see in the 15th century, and where would I find, I don't find any of those paperback books you buy, the million soul you buy, you don't see them. If you don't see them in these kind of Dharma books, you haven't got an eye. So, where on earth people getting those wrong doctrines and embrace them? Stand up for yourself. How long? You will fall very soon, I should tell you. You thought you stood up for something. In front of people, looks brave. They think you are brave. Soon you will be depressed. Years and years. Not just a couple of moments, There are lots of people like that who are so falsely guided by this wrong doctrine. So therefore, the bodhicitta is the essence. So we have now explained what bodhicitta is. Enlightenment thought is of two types. Two types. There are wishing enlightenment thought and engaging enlightenment thought. So the first is the cultivation of the very thought wishing to attain enlightenment to benefit others. You cannot attain enlightenment without yourself practicing the Dharma and bodhicitta. So only if one practitioner achieve a little bit higher state of realization, that propagates these very teachings from being forgotten. So that's why if we have the intention to cultivate the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of others, then those who cultivate the bodhicitta for the benefit of others, they will continue to propagate these doctrine and teachings, as enlightenment will not be attained by merely cultivating it. One should train in the precepts. So now you're talking about the bodhisattva's precepts. One should now train in bodhisattva's precepts. How should one train in the bodhisattva's precepts? Because perfection of wisdom is a very high, lofty goal. It's a perfection. To become perfect, you have to train in the precepts. The precepts here, after training in the precept, one becomes supported by the friends in the bodhisattva. So then you have, you have the fellow practitioners who you remember as Dharma brothers, Dharma brothers and Dharma sisters, and that's why they call brothers and sisters. In all religious community, they call brothers and sisters. You don't see anyone as non-brothers or non-sister. You don't see, you don't have to feel lonely thinking I'm the only son and think that I've got no brothers. You don't need to be. They don't need to be biological brothers, particularly you don't like them. Particularly you don't get on there. But wait until you discover all these Dharma brothers and sisters who are all kind and compassionate and tolerant and respectful and gentle and so on. If people like that, if you see the people who are tamed by the Dharma, you can see from their behavior, how they don't retaliate, how they don't speak bad words, and how they don't think bad thoughts, and they don't whip them up, and they know exactly how to behave because they have got certain way that the Bodhisattva's precepts tames the person. The formal continuum of the thought, meaning your previous mental continuum of thought, will transfer to the engaging in the conduct of the enlightenment thought. Now the thought becomes conduct. When the thought becomes conduct, then you can see the people who are practicing Bodhisattva, they are practicing mindfulness to contain and restrain their thoughts, becoming words and deeds and feelings and emotions. They will learn to cull those thoughts, even staying as their thoughts. Why? They have bodhicitta. Citta means thought. They have a thought-minding ability. They can mind their own thoughts they can weed their thought regularly. They're pruning their thought regularly. The precepts is just minding and weeding and pruning their bad thoughts and recruiting the good thoughts, recruiting those good thoughts. So that's highlight the importance of the Bodhisattva, one who is convinced to practice bodhicitta, needs to now guard the bodhicitta. How should you do that? He says the precepts are ascertained by three main factors. First, have a healthy relationship towards your Mahayana spiritual friend. So meaning you need to have a very courteous, positive, and patient and kind and respectful relationship with your spiritual friend. Spiritual friend meaning others who practice with you, as well as others who may take the role of mentors or teachers or just those who teach you the basics. It doesn't mean they have to be towering bodhisattvas themselves. If they are, would be good, but just in case they are not, so it's good to know they're still struggling. Then being kind to each other, it's even better. Because if you idolize your spiritual friend, then you think he or she may save you. This is totally un-Buddhist, completely goes against the Buddhist spirit. Even Buddha himself says, I can never save you. What on earth are you looking for? Buddha himself cannot save you, but you're looking for someone who can save you. Relegating the Buddha in the corner. See, lots of people, really, you wouldn't believe. Not to mention Judeo-Christian background people. Even the Buddhist, culture Buddhists, they're always looking for the savior from out there. Still very, very theistic. Always looking for the savior, as if they have actually seen one. Most people are expecting the impossible one. But they should not look for the savior outside, but saying that through my friends, watching each other's, frailties and strength and skillfulness, tolerance, and endurance, you will really earn respect for each other, kindness to each other, mostly kindness to each other. And then you will starting to, when you have that, then you haven't got aversion to your friends. That's a very good sign. You can't have enough people to you should have plenty people to practice loving kindness to and compassion to. Why we need additional people to have aversion to? No, we don't need anyone. The karma will bring some, unfortunately, or fortunately. But it's not their fault either, poor thing. Don't think it's them. They're just the messenger of your own messages that you sent years ago. So they are just messengers of the mutual karma. They're not the message. They're not themselves, really. Poor thing, Say your mother or somebody. Say someone in your life, so important. But at the same time, you think she's a bit of an issue or something. People completely misunderstand. How much she suffered for us. You wouldn't believe, poor thing. And if she is not a Buddhist spiritual friend, who is? We call mother sentient beings. In Mahayana Buddhism, we call Lord sentient beings, We elevate the sentient being to the level of the Lord. As if you don't have enough Lord. All sentient beings are Lord sentient beings. Respectful towards Mahayana spiritual friend, of course, because they empower you to look in the eyes of each sentient being with that kind of Lord sentient being. That you see them as a tenderness and kindness as you do to your puppy or dog. You should see them. And So never severing the hereditary succession of the triple gem. So meaning, one must make sure that this hereditary succession of this triple gem means those who hold the Dharma, and those who hold the spirit of the holy precious Dharma, precious Buddha, precious Sangha, so that they make sure that succession of the Dharma is continued but not severed. So that we try to keep very healthy, respectful connection with spiritual friend, and then maintain the beautiful spiritual heritage of Dharma, not go broken or collapse. Try to save the Dharma. Try to focus on the Dharma, not the mind of the people. People comes and goes, but Dharma is more important. Dharma is more important. That's the whole thing. If you look at the constitutions of the associations and like ourselves included, the whole purpose is so the Dharma continues into the future generations. Very purpose is that. So that being the case, you focus on that. How can we make sure the Dharma continues? And so that it doesn't get disrupted or it doesn't get neglected. All of a sudden somebody can't do, then nobody want to do it. Don't let that happen. That's dangerous. You're irresponsible. You're just watching it go neglected. Take up some responsibility. Then that hereditary lineage of the succession of Dharma would not discontinue, but would continue. Because it's not convenient. You can't do this. Oh, you are not available. Exactly. Then everybody's not available. That's right. When you forget bodhicitta, then it will orphan everybody again. Then there will be no Dharma, so to speak. That would be biggest kind of drought of all droughts. So make sure that is not allowed to happen. Yeah. And the third one is important, is not give up on any sentient beings. Wow. Yeah. If you have bodhicitta, doesn't mean they should have done this to give up. No matter what they do. Shantideva says, even if, this person may cut my limbs, may cut my life, and I may die, but I will still not surrender to my anger. If my anger will burn me in hell, this person may do me this or damage me this, but that's not he doing it. It's just consequences of my own lack of bodhicitta. So focus on that. Never give up on any sentient being. This is very important. So that's why you can't give up. You can't say, no, I can't do this. It's always so childish. Over small things you don't agree with something or someone and you just don't want to do. That kind of people who don't realize that someone needs to hold when it's hard and difficult. And that may happen to be one of us. And maybe just one, just ourselves. And don't look on somebody. Somebody did. Buddha Shakyamuni stood there under the Bodhi tree for 6 continuous years so that this pile of light doesn't go off. There were lots of windy nights. There's a lot of cold days. There's a lot of days that's drenched with rain. But he makes sure that lamp didn't go out. This is what we're talking about. Not give up on sentient beings. No matter how terrible they are. No matter how, because they're driven by karma. And they're pulled by your own karma as well, They're mutually inclusive karma. Brings difficult people. Why did Buddha Shakyamuni had the Devadatta doing all the amazing things wherever he go? It never became a cause of hindrance to Buddha's development. He would do exact opposite to what Buddha did. But Buddha never gave up on him. He may done so many things that others may think is off or whatever, but he never gave up on sin. Never give up on any sentient being. These 3 are very important. 3 points. The precepts. The Bodhisattva, Bodhicitta precept is held by these 3 points. And then there are 4 things you should know are the downfalls. Yeah, what are the downfalls? So, one of the downfalls is knowing if one is transgressing any of the above, or that will directly or indirectly, whether one is physically doing something violent, verbally saying something hurtful or divisive or scornful, or emotionally resorting some bad attitudes of wrong views and things like that. If one is holding those thoughts, I'm not saying that wouldn't happen. That would be, you have to be pretty enlightened not to have those thoughts, but not make sure they don't take up your space. They quickly vacate your mind. You make sure they don't stay in your mind stream. You should straight away shake up the head, please go away. And thought says, I'm not here. So one should know what are the bodhisattva's downfalls. How does the form of the downfall is usually, you can see, if some of them are physical, some of them are verbal, and just usually behavior. Because if you deliberately did something to upset sentient being, and you're very angry, and you're staying angry with something more than 4 hours, that's the form of the downfall. It doesn't mean that you don't get angry, you sure upset a few minutes, and then who doesn't? We are still human beings. But not letting that anger to seethe in you more than 4 hours, and not ever doing any confession, not pardoning others, not doing purification practice yourself. If you do that, then the form of downfalls, then times elapse. So that will slowly bite you. All those transgress form of downfalls are like that. That's why the practitioner should review the bodhicitta vows every 6 hours. Why? So that 4 hour doesn't elapse. 4 hour doesn't elapse. So it's form of downfalls. And then also just witnessing form of without downfalls. Just try to witness some hours where there is no conscious downfalls that you're committing against the bodhisattva precepts. Without downfall. Very good. Because you can see some are not visible. Some are not visible to others particularly. But there is an invisible downfall. All the intentions are all invisible downfall. Nobody can tell you. So you need to be cognizant of your own downfalls that doesn't have a form that other could witness. Without the form of downfall, you may actually think, I have no downfall. Because others will complain to each other of downfall with forms. They're pretty good at that. Even just civil kind of downfall, civil transgressions against whatever social norms or laws or whatever. If people break, society will tell anybody he did this, she did that, and so on. So those are with the even social transgressions, even legal downfalls or transgressions of a particular norm of organization or group or whatever, you will because if it is with a form, downfall with form, if you don't notice, others will notice, and if you acknowledge them, if you take responsibility to confess and forgive yourself and accept your own miscarriage of your own consciousness, and if you have that, and then accepting one's own form of downfall as a downfall is a precept, and idealizing that no one should have any downfall and could not tolerate anyone with that is not a precept. It's exact opposite of the precepts. So being able to see the forms of downfalls, and then being able to be kind to those who have downfalls, because you have too. You have more probably. So therefore, instead of throwing stone at someone who has some form of downfall that others could see, and you have downfalls that nobody can see, so you're so lucky, isn't it? You're so covered by this special hidden hat you wear, nobody can see you. You think you're covered or something? Comprehensive third-party insurance or something? No. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will witness everything you do in your thought, in your dream, whatever. So there's no form of downfall that others don't see is not a non-downfall. They still are downfalls. So this is very important, isn't it? Without the form of downfall. So those are the 4 things one should know, and then 3 things that one should abandon are being timid. Being timid, saying, I can't do Bodhisattva. This is way too much. This is too ideal. I mean, who can treat all sentient beings as orphans and me being the better? This is way too much. I can barely look after myself. So people become a little bit discouraged, being timid. I can't do this. Yeah, it's really good to know. Knowing that it's too much is probably understanding what constitutes bodhicitta. But that doesn't mean it's not an impossible thing to do. People have done amazing things. Days ago they couldn't lift a cup with a hand. Now they're weighting 5 kilos in the weight lift. So you wouldn't believe how people quickly rehabilitate. So we too can emotionally train things. So don't be timid. Don't be timid. So timidity is, because it's discouraging, self-discouragement. So don't discourage saying, I'm not well, I'm sick, or I have no time. Oh, I cannot do this. I can't review the Bodhicitta every day, 6 times a day. That's way too much. I can do once a day. That's enough. So don't being so timid, And the second one is, and you have to abandon becoming lazy. Becoming lazy. Lazy being you're attracted to doing means attachment to unimportant activities. To us looks very important, but it's not so really important at all. You can easily skip that. That's not a really big miss. But people become more attracted to doing those things, so they don't have time to guard the bodhicitta or practice that. Why? They're too attached to being lazy. Daniel put self-belittling by self-belittling, saying, no, I'm not well, I cannot do this, and this is too much for you. Look at your body, you got to look after that, or whatever. So one becomes very, very caring, all of a sudden very caring that you might do something good. Fear of danger, that you might do some useful things. So this kind of laziness, they all of a sudden become very careful for you. Of course, you can do prostration. I don't mean you have to do prostration, by the way. We're talking about generating bodhicitta. It's a hard cup practice. It doesn't mean you have to lift the sandbags like everybody else. It means that don't be so timid and don't be self-discouraging. So don't become lazy in self-discouragement or procrastinating or thinking there will be more time later. Who says you will have more time later? How much time is left? You have no idea how much time is getting shorter. There's not much left time to do much except the same useless things. So you're afraid of doing more useless things? You should be afraid that you might do more useless things. Then you at least might do something useful. So don't abandon the laziness thing, Remember we were saying that the diligence is very important. Third is fearful of demerits of samsara. You should always think the samsara is perpetuation caused by selfishness. It's not a place. It's not Australia or not Brazil or not India or not China or not anywhere. It's where there is this poor me mentality perpetuating, and that's samsara. So you need to see demerits of selfishness. Fearful of demerits of selfishness. That's very important. That's really, really, really important. Renunciation in Buddhism has to be interpreted very holistically. Lots of people renounce few things and then think they have some kind of entitlement or they think they're some special. No, the selfishness, renouncing selfishness is Mahayana renunciation. that actually also reduce your greed or your all the other worldly desires and so on. And we're talking about trimming the particular fatty desires, You total elimination desire doesn't happen until you get the first bhumi, I tell you that. So don't be too harsh on yourselves, Or don't idolize each other, Bodhisattva, on the first bhumi, they eliminate 112 gross affliction. That's all to do with the desire. Only then. But until then, there's a yearning. They're trying. They're only trying, and they're only yearning, and they're only practicing. But the ability to have completely no desire or no attachment is only achieved at that level. So therefore, be gentle with oneself and fearful of demerits of selfishness, samsara. So that's that. Then there are 6 obstacles for a bodhisattva. That you should learn to be wary and learn to observe and reject them. Negative points, whatever the negative points. Usually there are 4 or 18, or you list the bodhisattva precept, list of bodhisattva precept, all the negative things you should abstain. Anything that is negative, like instead of practicing generosity, you're miserly, things like that. So anything that is negative, so you should always reject the negative. Negative means you're negating. You're always negating something you have to do. But bodhisattva should be very assertive. Why not me? Why shouldn't I do? Of course I should do. This is the only time I might be fit to do with this precious human rebirth, and not try to negate. And the second is adhering to, what you should reject is adherence under the influence of non-virtuous friend. You should reject those people with whom your friendship is eating you away from the Dharma, is taking you further into the darkness, in the wilderness of decadence, violence, indulgence, retaliation, hate, violence, and that kind of thing. So if you are influenced by a friend who talks you nice, they think they're helping you, but actually they're dragging you more into this crowd, more into this mob violence, more into this demonstration, and then you think they're doing some good, but actually you realize what you're getting into. Don't get under the influence of non-virtuous friend. Don't say they are non-virtuous to them, by the way. They still are. They're still another orphan, remember? But make sure your little seed of bodhicitta is not robbed by coming under the spell of their influence. You wouldn't believe how quickly someone changed because they had a chat with somebody. And they didn't realize how toxic, how destructive that conversation was. Why? Because they are like that. They have that kind of destructive influence. You think they're great? Devadatta. So better to keep away. To keep a respectful distance from those whose influence is negative and harmful to you. That's really bodhisattva. Bodhisattva should stay put in his or her surroundings of practice, and don't loiter. Don't squander time and loiter everywhere at really questionable times. The bodhisattvas have things to do. He doesn't loiter. He doesn't squander his time. He doesn't, go with those kind of friends to do dark things. And that's the second one to reject. Third is jealousy. Jealousy. Oh, you wouldn't believe what jealousy does. You think you got a great cause to do on, but because the person is so driven by jealousy, their jealousy doesn't seem to be a card in affliction when they wanted to do something, what they didn't get, or what they become jealous of this or that. So jealous thought is what you should reject. You should, if you say mantra or if you say prayer, you should make sure that you don't host another jealous thoughts. You should rejoice other people's diligence or friendship or health or whatever they are. So we usually pray, may they be well and happy, and the two people becoming very, very friendly and whatever. So you should be rejoicing instead of jealous. One moment we wish them to have happiness, another moment we're miserable, they're happy. so completely. See, that's the forgetting. Forgetting the. We started the. May they have happiness that doesn't turn into misery. Remember, we are turning into misery. They're happy. They're happy that they're doing things together or whatever, and we're all of a sudden miserable. So if you practice jealousy, oh, that is the. See, once you reject, the third one to reject is jealous. So when you're praying, meditating, you're just checking, breathe, watching the breath. Oh, jealous thought visiting. Oh, he says, are you home? Do you notice I'm who? Who am I? Yes, you are. So, do you notice that you have a visit of jealous thoughts coming in? Meditation is very useful because you tend to have the ability to spot thoughts. Spot thoughts that particularly have some kind of, that has got some antenna. Oh, wow, he is so getting up there so quickly. Oh, he get promoted. You should rejoice somebody gets promoted. And just make them, wish them well and rejoice. It's much more profitable straight away. Yeah, fourth one is brooding resentment. Oh, that's it. That's really, really important. Because people think, oh, he did this to me. He did this to my friend. He did this to us. He did that to them. How can I be kind to him, compassionate to him? And then that's how people brood resentment. They don't say, I will brood resentment, and they say, yes, let's do that. They know it comes in a very nice package, It's nice guy. It's nice package. How dare, he treat like him like that? He says, yeah, that's not fair. We should stand up or something. That's right. And that's how the brooding resentment comes in. Brooding resentment comes with the standing up first. Stand up for yourself and then brood resentment. Ooh, yep. Yeah, that'll give you a lot of happiness. No, it is the cause of blood clotting. It is cause of the kidney stones. It is cause of brain hemorrhage. It cause of some of the sudden death and lots of the health mishaps caused by resentment, high blood pressure. It causes so many medical problems on top of your karmic biology that you already have creating. Emotionally resentful, anger, and whipping them up you should reject them. They say this is one of the 6 things to reject, brooding resentment. If you know someone very close to you and where they talk is all resentful, you should tell them straight away without any fear, telling them that you are brooding resentment, and no matter how right they appear or how whatever appears, you just don't let them get away that as if that you're helping them. You're not. You're telling them this resentment will harm you more than alleged object that you're angry at. Then you are helping people. Then you're really helping people. Then you're really making people to see, brooding resentment. That's what the Buddhist teaching is all about. Intelligence is the art of knowing your own emotions and what consequences they will have, and foreseeing the consequences they will leave on your mind and body and blood and the body and your emotion, your sleep, and so on, your lack of performance, your poor degree of attention, all because of the brooding anger, brooding resentment. You wouldn't believe how people looking very pale and grief and sad and beaten. They're not beaten by what the people did. They're alleging they did. But actually their resentment to them is beating them many times again and again and again and again. It's just like if somebody will slap you once and you've been slapping since then non-stop. That's what the resentment is. The word resentment says it all. You're sending yourself again and again and again. Resentment. Resentment. The word resentment, Kundun in Tibetan means keeping it your mental continuum, aversely, aversively. The ill will. They're talking really ill will. Just don't like him. They say you just decide you didn't like then and you still don't like him. That is resentment, by the way. What do you have to get him to do to like you so that you can like them? He should get taller or what? What do you mean? Why you don't like? But that was his own karma, poor thing. They're object of compassion. Why you don't like them? They're more objects of your compassion than you become cause you are not liking them. Aversion is cause of resentment. cause of resentment. Amazing. Jealous, brooding resentment, and then hurting others, hurting others' feeling, Hurting others' feeling usually is done by your behavior, your unwatched behaviors, how you behave, how you speak to them, how you, even look at them or don't look at them. People feel ignored. People say, he ignored me. They ignored me. They notice they're ignored very quickly, and they get hurt, so they don't want to go there. They never greet me. They never treat me as somebody. They feel forgotten, or they feel. And maybe you said something, or you didn't think what you were saying, or who will think what. So you were so unmindful of what you're saying, and you didn't know this will hurt him, or his father, or there one person next to him, or whatever. So you have not super sensitivity. Bodhisattva is super anxiety practitioner. Very good anxiety practitioner, Bodhicitta is good anxiety, healthy anxiety. Oh, I may hurt somebody. Oh, I don't want to say this. Oh, it may look good on me now, but it will be no benefit to the long run. Oh, I will not do it. That is the fear, Non-violence means try to abstain from hurting others. People are not hurting these days with spears and guns and knives anymore. You wouldn't believe. These days, people are hurting just a few text messages. Few text messages hurt somebody already. Oh, gosh, They never thought what they're sending, and they never thought what is the state they might be in. They may misread these, and you wouldn't believe what you said or what you did is hurt others. So people are very civilized. They don't have knives and sword and guns in the end. America got guns, but that's not really hurting people. More people are hurting by alcohol and violence and resentment than guns. Even gun violence is a result of resentment. Why people have to carry guns? It's because they can't mind their own mind. They really want to hurt somebody. They really are waiting opportunity to defeat the others next time. They're still waiting opportunity to ambush. The Lojong teaching says, don't wait to ambush. Don't wait to meaning you're not waiting for your opportunity to score a point. That's what it really means, Don't try to score a point as you are good and they're wrong and things like that. That's ambushing others. And you know what happens? They'll be slapped. And then they will be hurt. And with that, you have lost yourself many times. Hurting others will cost your life. So these are things one should reject. One should, desiring inferior, So the sixth one is desiring inferior, means you should always try to do what is the highest and best you can do, rather than the minimalist you have to do. Don't be the minimalist. Reject being a minimalist. Oh yeah, it will do, type of thing. Don't try to be the minimalist. Token. Don't do the tokenism. Just do the best you can do. So one should, as a bodhisattva vow holder, one should stop being minimalist. And then 4 harmonious aspiration of wise. So there are 4 harmonious things that you need to aspire to practice. Because harmonious means it will blend positivities. First is aspiring, resulting enlightenment. Look for the long-term goal for the benefit of that is to attain enlightenment. Don't look for short, sort of smart and short-lived victories. Don't look for short-lived victories. Look for long-term result in Buddhahood by doing this. Don't try to score a point, have some little short victories that has no substance. That's very important. But because Bodhisattva has got very far-sighted vision, what he wants, aspire, result in enlightenment. First one. Second one is aspiring to train in the path of the method. Yeah, you should train in the method. What is the skillful thing I can say or do that will soothe others, that will make them feel loved or respected or not ignored or tended or be helped or be supported or inspired, encouraged. So try to resort to a method that will pave the way or bridge the gulf that you think is widening too much because of your self-centeredness. Oh, of course, there's self-centeredness too. Usually you notice that very easily. If you think they are very self-centered, and then you should say, what can I do? Copy that? Probably not. Then that will just make it many times worse. One person's unskillfulness is bad enough. You do need to double up. Wow, what can I do to sort of mend that? If somebody made a little mess, how can I help to mend it? Rather than showing what he did, look at this, make a big deal out of things. Try to find a method how you can repair it so that they don't wear the blame, so that they don't wear this hurt. They're very upset because you also acted. You're very upset by what they did. But you should see that, if I show I'm very upset, then that will make them even doubly upset. So how can I say, this is nothing, this is just a thing, just a table. It's just a mat. People's more important. Then it's just a cup or china or even a bell for that matter. Who cares a bell? Get another one. But don't destroy your friendship with people over things. You wouldn't believe how mean people are. Over small things, they just ram right off. They're just so unscrupulous. These are just things. It's not the things that's important. It's what we should remember of each other as brothers and sisters, and not lose each other, not reject each other. That's more important. Amazing, You should aspire to learn a wise method. Yeah, wise. What can I do? And don't worry about what they messed it up. That's not the end of the thing. Be a paramedic. Be a paramedic and come and do something to take away the main sting of the problem. And don't tell them, what did you do this for? If you didn't do this, I don't have to come here. Or, this is a very odd hour. This is so early in the morning, late. You don't say these things. The paramedics don't say these things. They're trained to not to do. They arrive there, they bring things. You wouldn't believe how many bodhisattva kind of activities are people doing. Really, quite a lot of them are volunteers. Anytime they'll come. And they don't tell you, why did you do that, all that sort of thing. They have training so that not to do that, not to put stress already on the person who already been stressed. So aspire to train in the path of a skillful method. So you don't escalate the issue. You don't alarm this as a big problem. You just see that as nothing really. If you have the right attitude, it's no problem. It's a cup, for goodness sake, It's a table, it's a goodness sake. Why you want to fight over that with your mother or complain this to somebody? She has done much more than worth of 10 tables. You can't even wear that much. You haven't got any skin left in you. So you should make yourself shameful if you're a bodhisattva. If you want to be bodhisattva, you should say, oh, ridiculous, I'm so mean, I'm so unkind. She already feeling bad that she broke it, and then I'm complaining to here, Aspiring to fulfill wishes of the sentient being. Yeah, try to do something that you can fulfill the wishes and try to make their mind and heart and wishes to be fulfilled. Whatever, not all things you can fulfill them, depending to your capacity, I suppose. But you don't have to do all in this on the spot. You just do one at a time, and things can upgrade. Don't have to get everything right now. So aspiring means keep the wish up. Bodhisattvas always praying. Why? They are not always able to do it on time or do it where they like. So they're still not giving up. That's very important. If you can't get it right now, you think that's the end of the thing, and that's it. In the bodhisattva, so short-lived bodhisattva, there's no ever ready bodhicitta. There's only now ready bodhicitta, and if it doesn't work now, and then finish, collapse. That sounds like not wanting to fulfill anybody's wishes. Aspiring in the enlightened activities, or to benefit others. Yeah, what are the things that I can do that are enlighteningly beneficial to others? Maybe hard for you. Maybe you wouldn't do it normally, but it's necessary to do for the benefit of others. Yeah. Maybe sometimes you have to wear the blame. Yeah. Because everything is interdependent. If you wear the blame, it might help somebody. Oh, really? Oh, that's good. So it's really good. It's not so. Question isn't who's right or who's entirely wrong. Everything is dependent anyway. So if I took the blame, maybe it will take some stress out of those people, and then I can look at at least give them a breathing space. That's pretty good. Oh, so amazing. You can see immediate benefit of accepting some blames. But if you try to blame somebody, most people haven't got the fitness to accept any blames. You wouldn't believe. But Bodhisattva have got this commitment. He remember his precepts to accept blames. Why? Because we have done it so many times, blaming others. And therefore, we have never got the fitness to accept our own responsibility of our own unfitness. So for a change, take a blame and see what it does to your ego. Maybe it does tons of good. Why is the Bodhisattva saying take blame? They don't want to denounce you and destroy you. Of course, in the modern sense, we need to be careful about that. It's all your fault type of thing. Of course, if you understand Buddhist philosophy, it says everything is interdependent. Even you can tell yourself, it's interdependent, just take it. It's not entirely my fault, I know that, but accept it. It's interdependently originated. Who knows what it'll do to you? You straight away had this amazing intellectual clarity to see that because even if people say it's all your fault, it's not, because they have to say that. If they have to say that, means it's not. because it's truly existing doesn't need to be labeled. Truly existing doesn't need to be labeled. Whatever is labeled don't really truly exist. So, as a result of that, you're able to practice. So that's that sets of precepts. Then there are three obstacles that are concerning when practicing bodhicitta, concerning wisdom for oneself. So disinterested in study, that's an obstacle. Oh, I don't want to study. It's too much details. Too much detail, as if they may know something detailed good, I mean, wait until you have to weave a carpet. You need to know the details of how to start the knots and how to put on the loom and all the yarns, and I mean, you don't have the detail, you don't know how to make even one knot full stop. So why are you afraid of details? So disinterested in study is an obstacle for your wisdom for yourself. People who have studied, they really have some kind of, you can see, well-heard, they call well-heard, well-read person, They're not empty in here. They got some things to resort to, They have something to refer to. Their reference is reliable because they have studied. So disinterested study is an obstacle. Second is distracted contemplation. When you're meditating, your meditation, maybe whatever you do, you're just so unsatisfactory. When you're meditating, but your mind is all over the place. So you're just doing a lip service, just reading from this to that, and that's it. Almost like it become a monotonous kind of job type of thing. You really weren't doing it wholeheartedly. So that's the obstacle to your meditation. You're doing it, and the form of it, they lack the substance. Third is neglectful meditation. Neglectful meditation. The meditation, whatever you're doing, you are doing just to keep the form. Just to keep the form of meditation, but actually not developing. When you say, may all living beings have happiness and cause happiness, you're just saying it, but there's no feeling of loving, tender feeling that you're radiating to sentient beings. So if you're very, very mindful, you will say, may all beings have happiness and cause happiness, really, really mindfully and not neglectfully. So 5 causes that will harm helping others. So why are you not effective to help others? Is because these 5 things makes you to not effective to help others. Severe laziness in preparation. Severe laziness in preparation. So if you have laziness, severe laziness, not getting preparation before whatever you think you have to do. Some people are very mindful. No, they say, I have to go, I have to do this to get things ready, You can see they do a fantastic job, If they don't do it, somebody else do it. Everybody expects somebody else done the preparation. Somebody has to go and do the preparation for the benefit of others. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many of those things need a lot of preparations. So therefore don't suffer from, if you are lazy in doing things for preparation, say you have to do things in 5 days, 2 days, 5 weeks time, you're doing this, you're talking about this, discussing this. Doing these things are the practice of Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva need to plan, Bodhisattva need to practice, Bodhisattva need to talk. And then you don't want to do, you don't want to do. Therefore, nothing prepared. And then when things comes, you can see it was never prepared properly. If one or two person did, you can see that somebody's got planned it, somebody did this, somebody got this. So one should not suffer from severe laziness in preparation if you want to be effective to others. Whatever you are doing, whether it's whatever it is, you just make sure what you're going to do actually prepared very well, so that you actually go and meet the person. Questionable conduct that make others lose faith. So you have to be that ineffectiveness of helping others is your own conduct is not really there. That is appealing or inspiring to other people. So you have to be really watchful of those. If you don't see it, others will point to you, and if you don't take them nicely and humbly, you have a problem. But if you see someone pointing, it makes you to accept them, and then of course, nobody has a perfect conduct right at the beginning. So everybody has a questionable conduct, in some sort. Everybody has and everybody who comes to Australian immigration, there's a lot of questions they have to ask. Where do you come from? You didn't go to farm. You didn't go to all these questions they ask you. All these questions you ask. Yeah, you have to ask all these questions to yourself. Questionable conduct, Ineffective when in actual situation. That's the number 3. So number 3 is if you're ineffective to help others because in actual situation you're completely underprepared, you haven't got got yourself prepared, you're not doing it well, you have litany of excuses for not doing it, and then you will disappoint one too many sentient beings. So ineffective when in actual situation. And why you're not so effective, number 4, is because you've been engaging in non-dharmic activity more than the dharmic activity. Yeah, because you didn't put your time and energy into correct share of what you need, because you gave too much things into that, you spent too much doing that and whatever, and never got the actual thing that you really need to be doing for the benefit of others. A lot of people help others, but they're never effective. Why? Because they didn't have this. They lack these things. 5th one is, in the end, lead others into mistaken path. Yeah, and then in the end, what does it do? The person who is not effective help others, lead others into mistaken path, because you yourself don't follow through. There's nothing really. You start carefully in the beginning, nor you maintain in the middle, nor you have anything that is helping. So others also then lead into the mistaken path. So therefore, our bodhisattva should be very wary of these 5 causes that will, instead of helping others, will harm others. Others. So these are this is quite, Rongton is very skillful, Instead of listing, these are the vows that contradict perfection or generosity, listing, go like that. You can also go through that. But instead of going, he gives this, what things you should be wary of, what things you should be careful of. So now I'll go through this next list of things, which is the causes of not forgetting your bodhisattva vows. So what are the causes to not forget bodhisattva? 3 causes of non-forgetfulness in this life. Yeah. So and the 3 things that you should know. Not forgetting in this life is, so you have the mindfulness in this life of your shortcomings of samsara, preciousness of human rebirth, and merit of bodhicitta. So these 3, if you remember this, then shortcomings of samsara empowers you to develop renunciation. So you, as a bodhisattva, have to have renounced from selfishness. Shortcomings of samsara is shortcomings of selfishness. Preciousness, human rebirth, is you have Buddha nature. You have not only human rebirth, but also you have Buddha nature. So you don't overlook at yourself, which quite a lot of people do by self-loathing. No, I'm not good enough. But you should never forget that you have bodhicitta, and can't you tell you've got a precious human rebirth, and then remembering the merit of bodhicitta, which we mentioned at the very beginning. So if you do this, then these are 3 non-forgetfulness for this life. Yeah, the 3 causes of non-forgetful of the next life is, if for the next life, next life is inevitable, So you have to believe that bodhicitta you practice is inheritable next life. Renunciation you practice is inheritable next life. And all of these things that you practice is all going to be rolled over into next life. The financial terms, This is kind of bodhisattva. It's been rolled over in the next life. So don't try to get everything right and perfect in this life. It will be rolled over, and you don't even remember it's all there. I'm sure we are rolled over experiencing this life from past life, little bit of inclination to practice. So that you don't. So all the things you're doing in this life, not forgetting, is actually going to culminate into next life. Your renunciation, your knowing that you have Buddha nature and you have merit of bodhicitta will fruitfully ripen in the next life. So don't forget this. 5 causes of intention not to forget, both in this and next life. What are they? First is the benefit of cultivation of bodhicitta. Whenever you cultivate it, both in this and next life, the benefit of bodhicitta. That's why it was listed at the very beginning. Second is demerits of the downfall, demerit of transgressing of the bodhicitta. If you give up on one sentient being and scream at them or yell at them, the demerits. You never thought it will upset them, it will destroy your friendship, it will discourage others, people who overheard you or whatever. So you got to fear the demerits, demerit of such a loss of your temper, raising your voice, and being aggressive to somebody, of course, is against the bodhisattva precepts. So, demerits of downfall of bodhisattva in this and next life. Not to mention all in between. The third is recollecting the difficulty of finding. Difficulty of finding. That is finding another human rebirth with precious human rebirth, all the qualities. It's very difficult to find. So you got to think of that. Think of those, Think of those. And you have to therefore do sevenfold prayer 3 times minimum during the day, 3 times minimum in the night. So the sevenfold prayer constitute reviewing the bodhisattva vows, reviewing the refuge, and all the wishing and bodhicitta vows. So that if you practice this each day, then you can see. Then you can see the benefit will manifest. Doing supplication, prayer to the victors and successors. So that means praying to the lineage gurus, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. You should not be. You should. However good practitioner you are, you should always see the qualities of the past Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, gurus, lineage masters during their time. How things were difficult, but they put a lot of effort to practice Dharma, and without their act, we would not have this. So you should always do supplication and prayer to them. Abstention of demonic acts. So one should not engage in any actions that are harmful. And one should be devoted to other sentient beings, whoever they are. Nobody is too small, too unimportant to be thinking of their well-being. So you need to, and you should be dedicated to Dharma, and dedicated to remember bodhicitta. Remember everything, but don't forget bodhicitta. Remember the bodhicitta. Remember your spiritual friend who brought these teachings, who influenced you to conceive bodhicitta, and you really are so thankful that you have discovered bodhicitta. I suppose you have to experience the benefit of bodhicitta until it surpasses all findings, all gettings, whatever. So you are therefore your devotion to the Buddha is just incredible. You couldn't tell. You don't have enough words to explain them. So if you are able to do all of this above, then you have all the right causes and you will not let the degeneration of the transgression of the vows. Now there are 4 things that we will conclude with. 4, to train in the wholesome causes, to increase yourself in the practice of the 4 immeasurables. So practice of the 4 immeasurables. There are 4 things you do. If you're doing this following 4, then you are practicing these 4 immeasurables. First is not deceiving or telling lies to other sentient beings, whether spiritual or any other related matters in life. Not deceiving sentient beings. Second is introducing, wholesome acts to increase, train others, and introducing. You should introduce others to the Mahayanas. You should introduce others to the teachings of bodhicitta. Mahayana doesn't mean school, or tradition. It means that people, without calling Mahayanas, they are quite loving and compassionate people too. So you should say that even you do mindfulness, you must remember kindness. Even you do this mindfulness, even you observe all this, but remember kindness. So you try to introduce them that, and then they say, Yeah, that's so important. Yes, people do all sorts of mindful things, but they still don't know the main point is for that. Perceiving enlightenment thought as the teacher. Don't seek a physical teacher, particularly deluded human teacher. Seek bodhicitta as the teacher of all teachers. Seek enlightenment thought as the teacher. Yeah, bodhicitta is the teacher. Highest teacher is the bodhicitta. Even human teachers can't teach anything but bodhicitta. So that shows the bodhicitta is the teacher of all teachers. Develop sincere thought towards other sentient beings. So these are wholesome causes that boost your for immeasurable loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity towards other sentient beings. So these are the succinct list of the enlightenment thought precepts of the bodhicitta. In other texts like the 20 verses of Chandragomi, they list the 18 root vows, 46 secondary vows. When you look at all the lists, they all come down to this essential, basically. But if you are interested, there are those formal lists, 18 root vows and 46 secondary vows. But if Rongton has done is simplify them in this way of categorizing. So, hello everyone. Anybody want to say something or comment or question? We will allow a few minutes. Our tech people have been working hard that we can all hear each other. So please feel free. Unmute yourself for the benefit of all sentient beings.
How would it be possible if you had developed bodhicitta? How would it be possible to lose it?
To develop bodhicitta?
If you had developed it,
Develop it.
how would it be possible to lose it?
Oh, good. Well, if you have developed and if you sustained it, then sustained it, reviewed regularly every day, formal practices and informal activities during which you include the bodhicitta, you will not lose it. So that's the whole thing about bodhisattva progresses by not losing the bodhicitta. But chances of losing is quite there because people pack things very carefully, but they lose it, So they packed so carefully they couldn't find the thing, like that. So they really want to practice bodhicitta. They took great effort to receive bodhisattva vows. They think, and if they don't sustain the regular practice formally and informally and adhere to all this, warn all the dangers and adhere to all these positive things, if they don't do, sometimes they just quickly they just lost over some small issue. They just lost their plot. So that's why one need to have a very mindfulness that guard the bodhicitta. Best of all mindfulness is not forget bodhicitta. Even it says in Lojong teaching, if you remember bodhicitta at all times, particularly at the time of death, you don't need power. They say, you don't need even those fantastic Vajrayana practice of ejecting consciousness. You don't need that. You remember bodhicitta before you breathe last, and that will be more efficient than any esoteric power practices. So those who, if you don't forget bodhicitta, even if you don't forget bodhicitta, it straight away guards you and the others. It will prevent you from transgressing any of the things, and if somebody is a little bit sort of going over the board, you develop compassion to them. You don't see they're wrong and they should be punished and so on. You don't go into that. So that kind of remembering bodhicitta is not go into that thing we used to do so many anyway. So we just got disgusted with that. It just takes you nowhere, and very very harmful harmful effect. We have already suffered so much bitter consequences of those, and now remembering bodhicitta. So even Om Mani Padme Hum, we said about, even the word Om Mani Padme Hum, Avalokiteshvara, deity, all is so that we don't forget bodhicitta. It's not so that we remember the deities. It's not. It's opposite. Purpose is the deities are so that we don't forget bodhicitta. They might be wearing lotus. They may be holding gems in their hands. They may be, all these things are just so that we forgetful people don't forget bodhicitta. So you wouldn't believe how many kind of aids and paraphernalia there is in Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhism, so that we don't forget bodhicitta. And people culturally mistake that into something else, and they're worshipping these objects, and they forget the actual bodhicitta, you know. So that's what I'm saying. People are worshipping physical relics, queuing up hours and hours, but not actually learn to understand what bodhicitta constitute and make an attempt to yield that in their heart, you know. So meditating could be very powerful. Even calm abiding, especially inside meditation, is so that you can yield bodhicitta. It's not so that you can do calm abiding, especially inside meditation. Kamala Shila says at the very beginning, purpose of calm abiding, and especially inside meditation, is so that you can conceive bodhicitta in such a calm and serene mind. Thank you. Welcome, Kathy. All the way from Bundaberg. All the way from USA, I can see. All the way from New Zealand. All the way from Rockhampton, Hervey Bay. Where are you, Lana? From? From Russia? I see.
I'm Canadian, but I live in Spain.
Spain? Oh, you live in Spain.
Yes, I'm Canadian. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. Nice to see you. Welcome. So with this spirit of the best way to remember bodhicitta is to remember its merits and the beauty and how simple it is. Actually, it's not so complicated ritual. You know, it doesn't even need rituals. But in order that we don't forget, we just have to sit still, we breathe, we recite prayers, so that all of these things are equipment, so that we actually get to really yield bodhicitta, you know. Until of course, when the bodhicitta is really conceived, you know, I think it's like a woman, young woman who wants to really have a baby, and then she's conceived. Oh, she happy, you know. It's like that. And wait until you feel pregnant to bodhicitta. And then you wouldn't believe, I got a baby coming. And this is symbolically speaking, yeah. So very, very. I mean, motherhood is amazing. I can tell all the mothers. I can tell all the mothers and fathers actually know what's like. First day when they have a baby or something. Bodhicitta is more than that. It's much more than that. So your meditation should be all directed to conceive bodhicitta. And every effort is so fruitful. Everything you do is fine. You don't have to do necessarily religious things. You might be just picking the kind of garbage and and someone's neighbor's garbage got sort of fallen off and dogs pull off, whatever, scatter everywhere. But you might be just putting those things up and put it rightly, You could be doing some fairly ordinary thing like that, It seems like any good citizen will do that. But if the attitude of bodhicitta is there, it could be amazing, amazing thing to be doing. It isn't always holding the trophy of the world. The bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is not winning the trophy. Bodhicitta is doing the very things nobody want to do, but doing willingly and very graciously. With the kind of magnanimity of knowing what actually bodhicitta constitute, is that the wholeheartedness with which one gives unconditionally. So you all have done just that by being here tonight. Thank you, everyone. We will now do the form dedication of marriage, which is the prayer to offer the Thank you. Om Bade Mere Ganda Deva Menzange Honeza Mehale Bere Robe from the ocean of the Senate Erenda Mahayana Buddhist whatever Merera Mehove Begazela Tehoda Mahayana Buddhist Reja Manjushinyode Azama Dabadradilaiva following all the Zab Ashadege all the Mary Mede Salem Body Jeda Teba Edanoyedanzo where has been bo Mayedingri really without the general. Thank you. We're already on the second month lunar. We have already concluded the first lunar month, finished. 1 month less in our lifespan. Such, already working on the next one. With bodhicitta, yeah, that's right. Thank you. Yeah?
I'm writing down everything you're trying to say as quickly as I can. Will we get something at the end that
at the end of each term, which is 2 weeks' time, all the texts we have covered during this time, I will send to you all a copy, so that you can all go over it. Yeah. So yeah, of course, I'm passing some remarks in there that are not in the text, but the translation will be quite systematically listed ones. So yeah. So during the term break, you have time to read and go over the text. So, okay. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.